Stories and Documentary Network.
In every ancient myth, there is a moment where the sky seems to fall, where kingdoms vanish, continents drown, and rulers touched by the heavens disappear without a trace. Across the ruins of Mesopotamia, buried beneath layers of silt and forgotten time, whispers speak of one such ruler, the last Anunnaki king. A being not quite human, not entirely divine, whose reign ended in a cataclysm so devastating, it wiped clean the memory of an age before history. This documentary is not a journey into fantasy, but a descent into the oldest stories humanity ever wrote. Stories carved onto clay tablets 5,000 years ago, yet speaking of events said to be 13,000 years old, an era lost before the rise of the first cities, before the first kings, before the first recorded breath of civilization. Tonight, we open the door to a forgotten world, a world of sky gods descending on mountain platforms, of star maps etched into stone, of kingships said to have descended from heaven. And at the center of it all stands one figure, a ruler whose name flickers through myth like a dying flame, a king whose disappearance marked the end of a golden age and the beginning of humanity's long struggle to rebuild. Some say he was the last surviving Anunnaki, the final guardian of an advanced people who shaped the earliest foundations of civilization. Others believe he was nothing more than a myth, a symbolic echo of an age erased by flood fire and chaos. But archaeological evidence, recurrent flood legends across cultures, and ancient astronomical alignments hint at something far older and far stranger than our textbooks dare to admit. This documentary aims to reconstruct that forgotten world, to trace the origins of the Anunnaki, explore their society, follow their rise, and witness their fall. A fall sealed in a cataclysm said to have consumed entire continents and forced humanity into a dark age from which we would spend millennia recovering. This is the story of the last Anunnaki king and the 13,000-year-old disaster that buried his kingdom beneath the sands of time. To understand the last Anunnaki king, we must travel beyond written history, into a time remembered only through myth. The earliest Sumerian tablets describe a world before the Great Flood, a time when kingship descended from heaven. These were the ages of Eridu, Bad Tabira, and Larak, cities that modern archaeology has barely touched, submerged beneath layers of earth and ancient water. According to the Sumerian king list, these cities belonged not to ordinary humans, but to rulers who lived for thousands of years. Who were these beings the tablets call the Anunnaki? In Sumerian mythology, the Anunnaki were celestial beings connected to the stars, emissaries of the heavens who walked among early humans. Some scholars interpret them as gods. Others see them as symbolic representations of natural forces or ancient priestly elites. But across all interpretations, a consistent idea emerges. The Anunnaki were teachers. They introduced concepts of order, kingship, agriculture, astronomy, and law. They were the shapers of the first known civilization. Yet the origins of this lore stretch even deeper into prehistory. Before the rise of Sumer around 3500 BCE, the region of Mesopotamia was home to pre-flood settlements dating back over 10,000 years. These early communities lived along rivers that behaved very differently from the modern Tigris and Euphrates. Geological studies show ancient channels now buried under desert sands, evidence of a landscape transformed by massive flooding events. Ancient traditions from Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Levant, even Central America speak of a great deluge long before recorded time. In every version, a civilization of remarkable knowledge perished. Sumerian texts describe this cataclysm as a divine decision, a reset of the world. But some tablets hint that warnings were given, that a chosen king was instructed to preserve knowledge, seeds, and life. This era, the forgotten pre-flood age, is where the legend of the Anunnaki begins. A time when early human tribes encountered more advanced groups who built large ceremonial centers, observed the stars with precision, and crafted myths that would echo across millennia. As humanity rebuilt after the flood, fragments of this lost world remained. Advanced agricultural techniques, star-aligned temples, myths of skyborn rulers, and tablets hinting at beings who came before us. Out of these fragments, the memory of the last Anunnaki king survived, preserved through oral tradition until Sumer emerged from the mud and wrote it all down. Reconstructing the culture of the Anunnaki era means piecing together clues left behind in Sumerian tablets, temple ruins, and ancient myths shared across continents. What emerges is a civilization unlike any other, one where divine order shaped daily life, where rulers were seen as bridges between heaven and earth, and where knowledge was considered sacred. Daily life in pre-flood Mesopotamia revolved around the rivers. Fertile land made farming abundant, allowing early communities to grow barley, wheat, dates, and legumes. These early societies were structured, organized, and astonishingly advanced for their time. Irrigation systems, city planning, and administrative records show a level of coordination suggesting that knowledge did not simply evolve slowly. It appeared suddenly, as if taught by an older, more experienced people. At the heart of their society stood the temples. These were not just religious centers, but the economic and political cores of each settlement. The earliest temples, like the ones excavated in Eridu, resemble prototypes of later ziggurats, stepped platforms believed to connect heaven and earth. According to legend, these structures were built under the guidance of celestial beings. Priests maintained daily rituals, astronomical observations, and the preservation of sacred knowledge. Religion permeated every aspect of life. The Anunnaki, described as the great gods, governed the forces of nature, justice, fertility, war, and wisdom. Each city was dedicated to a particular deity. The people believed these gods once walked physically among them in the earliest age, the same age dominated by the last Anunnaki king. Myths tell of hybrid beings, part divine, part human, symbolizing the union between heaven and earth. Whether literal or metaphorical, these stories reveal a worldview where cosmic order and earthly life were inseparable. The king was not merely a ruler, he was chosen to maintain balance between realms. Art and writing flourished. Intricate cylinder seals depicted gods descending from the sky, star constellations, and rulers receiving divine symbols. Cuneiform writing emerged as a tool for administration, astronomy, storytelling, and sacred rites. Some tablets detail star maps and celestial cycles with astonishing accuracy, suggesting an advanced understanding of the heavens. The economy was vibrant and interconnected. Early trade routes carried obsidian, lapis lazuli, timber, and metals from distant lands. Even in the earliest layers, evidence shows that Mesopotamian societies interacted with regions as far as Anatolia, Iran, and the Arabian Peninsula. This level of exchange implies coordination, exploration, and shared knowledge stretching far beyond local tribes. Above all, the defining element of their society was kingship. The Sumerians believed kingship was bestowed by the gods to maintain order. This belief traces directly to the memory of ancient rulers, long-lived beings who guided humanity through its earliest steps. The last Anunnaki king was said to embody this sacred role more than any other ruler. His reign, according to legend, represented the peak of harmony between gods and humans. But harmony never lasts forever. And as we move deeper into the story, we step closer to the tension, the conflicts, and the cosmic disaster that would shatter this world and erase the legacy of the Anunnaki from human memory. When we explore the achievements attributed to the ancient Anunnaki era, we encounter a puzzle. How could a civilization so early in human history construct monuments, develop systems, and chart the heavens with a precision rivaling later advanced cultures? The answer, according to ancient lore, lies in the knowledge passed down by the celestial teachers who walked among early humans. One of the most striking innovations was monumental construction. The earliest temple platforms at Eridu and later the ziggurats of Ur and Uruk retain architectural patterns far older than their historical layers. These structures were aligned with astronomical markers, solstices, equinoxes, and specific star risings. Some foundations appear built upon older pre-flood layers, suggesting a tradition carried forward from an even deeper past. Ancient myths say these designs followed heavenly instructions, blueprints given by the Anunnaki to maintain harmony between the earth and the sky. Astronomy was another cornerstone of their legacy. The Sumerians inherited a detailed understanding of the night sky, the movements of the moon, the visible planets, the divisions of the zodiac, and the concept of a celestial sphere. They tracked Venus with extraordinary precision, predicting its cycles centuries before such calculations were rediscovered. This knowledge did not emerge gradually, but appears fully formed in the earliest tablets, as if taught rather than invented. Some legends claim the Anunnaki descended from the stars and thus brought star knowledge with them, a poetic reflection of the culture's obsession with the heavens. Equally astonishing was their grasp of mathematics. The sexagesimal, based 60 system, used by the Sumerians is still embedded in our timekeeping today. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. They developed early geometry, lunar calendars, advanced accounting, and standardized units of measurement. Many scholars believe the speed and sophistication of this system hint at a guiding intelligence, whether human or mythologized. But perhaps the most controversial traditions involve the myths of genetic engineering and the origin of kingship. Some ancient texts, particularly the Atrahasis and certain Sumerian creation fragments, speak of humans being fashioned or shaped with the help of divine essence. While symbolic in nature, these myths reinforce the idea that early humans saw themselves as created with purpose, crafted to share in the responsibilities of maintaining civilization. The king, therefore, was not merely a political figure. He was a living symbol of the divine order. This sacred lineage is echoed in the myth of the last Anunnaki king, a ruler believed to be the final bearer of heavenly knowledge. Tradition says that under his reign, once lost technologies flourished. Irrigation networks expanded across the plains. Star temples operated as centers of both science and spirituality, and vast archives were inscribed with the wisdom of ages before the flood. Even after his disappearance, echoes of this ancient legacy survived. They persisted in cuneiform tablets, in the architectural DNA of ziggurats, in myths of divine rulers, and in fragments of knowledge that later civilizations would inherit without fully understanding their origins. Yet behind every achievement lies a shadow, the fragile balance between heaven and earth. And as the ancient world grew, tensions began to rise, rivalries intensified, signs in the sky were misread as omens of doom. And slowly, the foundations of that golden age began to crack. Among the many rulers of ancient Mesopotamia, one figure rises above legend, the last Anunnaki king. His name is fragmented in surviving texts, a handful of syllables on damaged tablets, a lost inscription beneath the sands of what may have been ancient Eridu. Yet the stories surrounding him paint a vivid portrait of a leader caught between two worlds. In the earliest myths, he is described as a ruler of both earth and sky, a phrase used only for those believed to hold divine ancestry. He is said to have inherited the final vestiges of celestial knowledge, astronomy, sacred law, and the hidden sciences guarded by the priesthood. His rise to power came during a time of unity when the cities of the southern marshlands flourished under shared traditions. Trade expanded, agriculture thrived, and temples aligned to the heavens stood at the center of every settlement. But his reign was not merely administrative. It carried profound spiritual authority. Legends say he was chosen not by the people but by the gods themselves, selected to preserve harmony between humanity and the celestial order. Priests and astronomers served under him, maintaining rituals intended to synchronize human life with cosmic cycles. Yet, beneath this veneer of divine harmony lay growing tension. Over generations, the line between skyborn rulers and ordinary humans became increasingly strained. Some believed the king's bloodline was too distant from the divine. Others feared that humanity had grown too independent, no longer content to live under the shadow of celestial authority. The last Anunnaki king found himself navigating a world where old loyalties were fading and new ambitions rising. He is portrayed as a contemplative leader, one who sensed the coming storm. Ancient fragments describe him watching the skies, interpreting signs of cosmic disturbance, unusual star patterns, changes in the sun's path, and the rise of unfamiliar omens. Some myths say he tried to warn the cities. Others claim he attempted to preserve the sacred knowledge by sealing texts inside stone vaults. What makes his story so compelling is its abrupt end. He disappears from the records, not through conquest or political overthrow, but through an event so large, so catastrophic, that it erased entire chapters of history. His fate became the hinge between eras, the closing of one civilization and the forced rebirth of another. The age of the last Anunnaki king did not end in peace. It collapsed under a storm of events that seemed to converge with eerie precision. Internal rivalries, cosmic disturbances, ecological changes, and ancient wars all wove together into the tapestry of a catastrophe remembered across cultures. One of the earliest cracks appeared within the ruling elite. As the divine bloodline thinned, disagreements grew between traditionalists, who insisted that the king's authority was sacred, and reformers, who sought more power for human-led councils. Temples competed for influence, priests disputed interpretations of celestial omens, and once unified cities drifted into quiet hostility. The king struggled to keep the peace. Some tablets mention diplomatic missions between cities, attempts to restore ritual calendars, and efforts to unify trade routes. But tensions were rising faster than they could be contained. At the same time, the heavens themselves seemed to shift. Ancient star records from later Sumerian eras hint at a period of astronomical disturbance, unusual comet sightings, irregular lunar cycles, and anomalies in the skies long interpreted as divine warnings. Whether these were natural cosmic events or symbolic stories passed down through generations, they created a sense of approaching doom. Myths from across Mesopotamia describe wars among the gods, battles fought not on earthly plains, but in the realm of the heavens. These divine conflicts often mirror human struggles, suggesting a period of intense social upheaval. Some versions speak of powerful weapons, storms of fire, or the unleashing of forces beyond human comprehension. Whether metaphor or memory, these tales mark a time when the world teetered on the edge. Environmental changes added fuel to the fire. Geological evidence shows that around the end of the last ice age, roughly the same period linked to the 13,000-year-old Cataclysm, the planet experienced abrupt climate shifts. Floods surged as ice melted, rivers changed course, entire regions transformed within a human lifetime. To ancient societies dependent on stable cycles, these sudden changes would have appeared apocalyptic. Then came the final disaster, the cataclysm that erased the king's world. Whether viewed through myth as a divine flood, through astronomy as a cosmic impact, or through geology as a sudden climatic collapse, The event was enormous. The deluge legends describe walls of water, cities swallowed overnight, temples torn apart, and survivors clinging to rafts as the old world sank beneath the waves. In this chaos, the last Anunnaki king vanished. Some myths say he ascended to the heavens. Others claim he perished with his people. A few whisper that he led a small group of survivors to higher ground, preserving fragments of knowledge that later became the seeds of civilization. What remains certain is this: his disappearance marked the end of an age of celestial rulers, monumental cities, and ancient knowledge. In its place, humanity was forced to begin again, in a world cleansed by disaster. As the final days of the ancient world unfolded, the realm of the last Anunnaki king stood at a crossroads between memory and oblivion. The harmony that once defined the relationship between humans and their celestial-guided rulers had fractured. What followed was not a sudden collapse, but a slow, haunting unraveling, one marked by strange signs, abandoned cities, and the fading echoes of rituals once believed eternal. Legends speak of a time when the king would stand atop a ziggurat at dusk, watching the horizon darken as if the sky itself were withdrawing its light. Priests brought him warnings carved into clay, records of failed harvests, erratic tides, and the inexplicable rise of water in distant riverbeds. The celestial markers that once guided planting, travel, and ceremony no longer aligned with their proper positions. It was as though the world had shifted on its axis. The king's final decree, according to fragmented myth, was not one of authority, but of preparation. He ordered sacred knowledge to be preserved in sealed chambers, embedded deep within stone foundations. He dispatched envoys to gather survivors from outlying villages, urging them to move inland to higher ground. Some listened, many did not. Then came the deluge, not a gentle swelling of rivers, but a violent, sweeping force remembered across civilizations. Walls of water roared over plains, carrying with them the remains of homes, temples, and entire generations. The sound of the flood was said to be like the sky tearing open. Whether caused by melting ice, shifting seas, or a cosmic impact lost to time, the effect was the same. The world before was washed away. In the chaos, the last Anunnaki king vanished. No body, no tomb, no final inscription. His absence became a myth of its own. Some believed he drowned alongside his people, refusing to abandon them. Others claimed he ascended back to the heavens, his work on earth complete. A small number of legends speak of a handful of survivors guided by the king's last teachings, elders who carried with them seeds, symbols, and fragments of astronomical wisdom. From these survivors, humanity rebuilt. Villages rose first, then towns. New myths emerged, but carried familiar shadows. The righteous man saved from the flood, the heavenly laws rediscovered, the memory of kings who once ruled by divine right. The ancient world was gone, but its imprint lived on, embedded in the earliest stories told around firelight. Humanity had reset, but the echoes of the lost civilization continued to pulse beneath the surface of history, waiting to be rediscovered. The legend of the last Anunnaki king did not vanish with the floodwaters. Instead, it resurfaced in cultures scattered across continents, transformed into new forms, but carrying the same unmistakable core. Nearly every ancient civilization preserves a memory of a world-ending deluge. The story of Utnapishtim in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the tale of Noah in the Hebrew tradition, the flood of Deucalion in Greek myth, Manu in India, and countless indigenous narratives worldwide. Though separated by vast distances, these stories share an uncanny similarity. A great king or wise figure forewarning humanity, a devastating storm, and a rebirth of civilization. Architecture, too, carries fragments of this legacy. The stepped pyramids of Mesopotamia, Egypt, Central America, and Asia echo one another in both form and purpose, platforms meant to bridge earth and sky, to align with celestial cycles, to connect humanity with forces beyond the physical world. Whether by direct inheritance or parallel inspiration, the architectural DNA of the ancient world traces back to the traditions attributed to the celestial teachers. Religions inherited a deeper influence. Concepts of divine kingship, heavenly messengers, forbidden knowledge, and celestial laws all reflect motifs rooted in Sumerian and pre-Sumerian myth. Even our modern fascination with the stars, our urge to understand where we come from and whether we are alone, mirrors the ancient longing to reconnect with beings believed to have descended from the heavens. In today's world, the legend of the Anunnaki resonates not because of certainty, but because of possibility. It represents the space between myth and history, between archaeology and imagination. It challenges us to question what might have existed before recorded time and invites us to reconsider whether humanity's first chapters were far more complex than we once believed. And so, the story of the last Anunnaki king lingers like a whisper carried across ages, a memory half buried beneath sand, stone, and flood. His world may have vanished, but the shadows of its greatness ripple through every tale of ancient gods, every monument aligned with the heavens, every myth that speaks of a time when sky and earth touched. Perhaps the truth of his existence lies waiting beneath forgotten ruins, or perhaps it resides within us, in our instinctive search for origins, in our yearning to understand the past, not as a straight line, but as a cycle of rise, collapse, and rebirth. As we look to the stars, just as the ancients once did, we are reminded of a simple truth. History is not only what is written, but what is remembered, and what refuses to be forgotten.